assistant, Dandelion. Dandelion. Who is a good little dandelion? Oh, he's so soft. And our good old combo classroom, which is in a later portion of the grade. As you can see, it undergoes certain amounts of decay as a grade goes on. We'll have our good old resets when it's time for grade -3, but I still have some important things to cover in grade -2. Now, first of all, to the combo lords who are extra tuned in and on my Discord, the combo class Discord. Sorry, I did. Oh, another cat. We got another classroom assistant. Hi, Sage. That's a good boy. That's a lot of classroom assistants. Okay, now, sorry I did not post this stream or haven't chatted still in a while. I need to get back into the Discord here because I lost the password and I have it somewhere. But I'm not the best with technology, and I got locked out of the account for a minute. Now, on another note, to people who are less tuned in, I hope that you have seen the latest combo class episode on my main channel, because that one is doing remarkably well, and it was one that I said from the beginning of me making it that it was going to be one of, if not my favorite episodes I've made yet, because it was a concept I wanted to make since I started combo class a few years ago, and it was finally the right time to make that episode about that topic called integer complexity that is so underrated that I feel proud to say that my video is probably the most press or publicity that this topic, integer complexity, has ever gotten, because you can only find like a dozen articles about it out. And this video is already reaching a great audience so quickly that I'm very happy to have been able to spread these ideas along with some mathematicians who I mentioned in the episode whose findings helped me get there. And as for our next episode, it will also be one of my favorites. It's also a number theory one, and it also takes place with a lot of scenes on what we can call field trips. When I was off on a trip recently, I filmed parts of multiple episodes, including this next one, and it will be about equations in different bases, but it won't be about analyzing a single strange base. It'll be looking at the whole realm of what I call basic bases and pondering which equations are true in multiple bases. And why are we able to find so many good examples of equations that are true in many bases? And by an equation being true in multiple bases, I mean, let's say that my equation isn't about quantities, but is about digit representations, and I say maybe 1, 1 times 1, 1 equals 1, 2, 1. Well, that's true in our base, but in other bases, it means a different thing, but it's true in a lot of them. And so, why is that the case? What other examples of this are important to share? And etc. We'll go down that rabbit hole. We will be getting a little bit alien. We'll be imagining alien types of bases. And although they're the simpler of the types of base extensions you could do, but analyzing their similarities to ours, we can imagine trying to communicate with an alien and holding up a sign that had like one dot in this place and 2 dots in this place to mean a number, like 1, 2 of some sort, as opposed to just being a pile of 3. And so we'll be diving into our positional numeral systems and more soon in that one. Let me also note that I want to be taking more field trips now that my body's able to. Some of you know there was a whole arc where I had to heal from multiple surgeries while making grade -1. But in grade -2, I've been able to explore more. And I do have a few particular trips in mind I may try and take during the rest of this grade -2 to film some interesting things. One of those I'll give a clue about because I'm not sure if I'll be able to take the trip, and if any of my viewers happen to live in an area where this natural event will be occurring, I might be interested in getting some of your footage of this occurring with crediting you. because I'm not sure if I'll be able to pull this off. It's happening very soon. But a sort of last minute episode. I always say you got to keep a couple episodes open in the grade when I'm planning them. I only let myself like plan all of what's left with a few gaps so that if anything really crazy happens, I still have room for those. Because I decided I want this grade to have 36 episodes like the first one I wanted, because in base 6, that'll be our first triple digit number. And with this grade, I'm glad I left 1 or 2 spots open, because there's a natural event that I just realized is occurring this year, which is this particular type of bug called cicadas, can be pronounced different ways, but Cicada, are very interesting mathematically because they emerge on prime number cycles. And why they do that, I'm going to need to explore in an episode. It's a good combo class-like topic, a connection between nature and math. But the reason why I want to fit it in very soon is that a very rare event will be occurring in the United States where I live. Unfortunately, not on the western side of it. This is only going to be happening on the eastern half of the United States. And I'm way out on the west side. But what's happening is that for the first time in 221 years, 2 different prime number amounts of cicadas are emerging at the same time, because 221 is a semi-prime. It is 13 times 17. And one batch of these bugs that comes out on 13-year cycles and another batch that comes out on 17-year cycles will be emerging. And it's the only time it's going to happen for, 221 more years in either direction. So even if I can only visit one of those particular broods of cicada that emerges at that time, I think that would be great footage if I were to make an episode about it. Not sure I'll be able to take that trip, so anyone let me know if you happen to live somewhere where you'll be seeing some of these particular bugs. They're not like the most appealing animal of all time. They are insects with these big old bug eyes, and they apparently have kind of prickly legs if they land on you, even though they don't bite. But they relate to prime numbers in a really interesting way. So I'm going to have to fit that into one of the other upcoming episodes. Now, speaking of animals, there have been cool animals in the classroom as well. Just today when I was here, I saw this miniature possum that was a super baby one, that they're normally not out in the daytime, so it must have either been lost or hungry or something or another, but it was really cute. It was this tiny little possum. Possums are super cool. They're not like raccoons or skunks that cause trouble. They're actually good for your yard. They eat tiny bugs only. They only eat the stuff that you don't want. They help your yard. So possums get a bad reputation sometimes, or these might be the ones called opossums. I still need to research the full difference between possums and opossums, which actually are different. It's one of those. Now, the less fun animal that I saw recently was, I should maybe be more careful because it's the desk that I'm leaning on right now is very collapsed. We're at the point of the grade where the desk is very collapsed, and it's also rained on it a lot, and it made it a good habitat for things like spiders to live in tiny parts of it. And this big old spider that looked kind of like a black widow, which is probably the most deadly in terms of if it bites you, spider in my area. Like, if you get bit by that, you better go to the hospital. Otherwise, you have like a chance of the thing killing you. They're, one of those top 10 not good to see spiders. I need to see the photo that we got of it to try and double check. It's a really bad photo of it because we didn't stay that close to it. But then I think it went back into the desk. So I hope it wasn't a black widow. Fact about those is a lot of people assume, due to certain human stereotypes, that the big ones that are like the scary, bitey ones would be the males. But they're not. Those are the females. The males are tiny little spindly, harmless, little white-looking spiders. And so it's the female black widow you really have to worry about. That is like a big bulbous black belly, which this thing had, and then this red hourglass-like thing on the back. This had something red on the back. I don't know if it was the hourglass thing. Hopefully not. Anyway, that was not the most deadly thing that happened recently. Something not deadly in terms of what actually happened, but in terms of risk potential. Now, I very rarely get injured around this classroom. It's happened a few times that something has fallen and hit me and, given me a small bruise, or that I've stepped on something that was like waterlogged and snapped, like a desk or something, and it hurt me slightly. So there have been times where I've gotten like scratches and stuff in the combo class, but nothing that bad. As far as fires, yes, this hole is from a fire, but that was on a previous live stream. I have evidence that it was a tiny candle, and it's always the tiny candles that I'm not vigilant enough about and don't pay enough attention to, or like give enough respect to, that cause the damage. It's never the big fires that people worry about that they see in the episodes. Those I plan before and after. So yes, the fires have gotten me, but it's always been little candle-like things. The place I last expect it, where I'm just not giving it enough credit as being some sort of fire. And one of our classroom helpers is back. Hi, Sage. Who's a good little Sage? That's a good little boy. Hi, Sage. He's so good. He's so agile and nimble that he can just like walk through wherever in the classroom. I trust them. Now, when I mention this next bit, which involves something I stepped on, don't worry about the cats. They're really smart and good at dodging whatever is bad on the ground. They're nimble on their feet. They don't... Oh, Sage is on the desk. What do you... Sage, it's all diagonal. Sage, the desk's diagonal. That's not gonna work. He was trying to perch right here, but it is literally diagonal. Yeah, Sage, no, you gotta get pets over here. Okay, so anyway, the cats are safe. The humans around here, I'm always worried someone's gonna step on something because people don't always look where they're stepping. Me included, obviously, because this was either in a shed where I was getting a toolbox from, or it was in the classroom, or it could have been somewhere else, but those are my two best guesses. I noticed at some point late in the filming a few days ago that I thought there was a rock in my shoe that was kind of spiky and was kind of hurting my foot. And I tried to shake it out and to like shake it to the side of the shoe temporarily while we were finishing filming. We were almost done. And I couldn't get it to the side, and I just was like, okay, whatever. There's an annoying rock in my shoe for the next 5 or 10 minutes, whatever. And then I went inside and took off the shoe, and I'm like, there's not like a rock shaking out. And I noticed on the other side, like, what? There's something that looks like it punctured through the shoe. That somehow I must have stepped on it the right angle that it punctured through. And what this was a rusty nail that I have right here. And I actually have footage. I'm not going to pull open the footage today of me pulling this out of the shoe, because when I saw that there was a nail in the shoe, I started filming. And so I have footage that will be in probably the finale of grade -2. We'll have a sector where I show all the footage of any injury that's occurred. But I pulled out this nail that had gone diagonal through the sole of my shoe, popped all the way through, enough that I was feeling it when I was stepping on it, but I don't think it broke my skin. It was just angled enough that it didn't spike me. And I have the nail right here. So the shoe is the same shoe. I'm still wearing the shoes because it just has a little hole in it. Whatever. It has relatively thick soles. But where it punctured through, if you actually look on the inside of the shoe, like the soles are like that thick or something. This is the nail. So this thing nearly gave me tetanus. I don't know what it came from. It's an old thing around here. It might not have even been from the classroom. This is land that was built years and years ago. The city built this land on landfill. And so there's like weird destroyed building stuff under the dirt, even before the clock layer and dice layer. So this giant thing stuck through the shoe. I'll show the footage of it in one of the later episodes this grade, probably the finale, at just enough of an angle that it was like, didn't like tetanus me. And so I got to be careful where I step around here, I guess. Now, that is probably the closest I've come to an actual serious injury in the combo classroom, apart from maybe this hole in the coat. But don't worry, I'm safe enough. Now, that's not the only prop I have. There is one more prop here. By prop, I mean item that is important in the classroom. Not some people take prop to mean like a fake version of something, but I see this as a prop because I'm not letting it back on the ground. All it gets to do now is be in film. Whoa! It magnetized to part of the computer. You know how computers have like magnetic bits on part of them? I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but it magnetized to it. Look at this. Or I can't film it. I'm filming on the computer. If I angle the camera, it's just going to be showing the trackpad. It's not going to show the magnet part. Will it show it? Can you see that? No, you can't. But it magnets over here. The other thing that I wanted to show, that I was calling a prop, even though it's an actual item, is this. What's that, and how could that be important? That looks like a tiny, strange fruit. Well, it is a tiny fruit, and what it is an early, premature, sometimes trees have one that didn't come out right, that it drops a little early, plum. And years ago, I remember there being plums back here, these little round purple plums. And then I remember there stopped being the plums for years. And sometimes a tree stops fruiting for a while, even if it's like the fruit tree variety, that it stops making fruits some years if it's not happy in some way. It didn't got too much or too little sunlight or water or something. Well, there stopped being plums for a while, and I assumed it was because a tree had gotten cut down or something. And maybe that it had been a neighbor's tree that was leaning over and they had cut them down or something, because I didn't remember. The plums were like older in my memory. I was like, I guess maybe it was a neighbor's tree or something that the plums had been coming from. Then last year, during one of the live streams, I mentioned that I had found a whole plum that I tried to bite out of and was totally fine in this planter bin that is now collapsed back there. And that might have been this grade. Well, now it's getting to the season where these things apparently are growing again, and I looked up, and last year I was only able to see like one or two in the tree, and the one that had fallen, and I was like, that's weird, like it started making plums again, but it only made a couple. Well, this year I can see a lot more. There's tons up there. Let me see if the camera will be able to see it. I can't even tell if the camera can see it or not. Probably not. But I can see multiple right up there. They blend in really well. So they're really hard to see, but they're a slightly different shade of red, round things that you can notice if you know what to look for. Then today, since I knew that, my main camera guy, Carlo, climbed this tree right here to test a few of them that he could reach, and they weren't ripe yet. So we have to wait a bit, but we'll be testing them on an ongoing basis until we get plums grown right here in the combo classroom. all along, this tree is going to be a fruit tree that gives us fruit. Same with this one. Maybe even now, who knows? That one actually, no, that one looks different. These ones look the same, and I've seen plums on those too. But it's crazy. 2 of the 3 trees here, suddenly fruits. There's also some other fruits that will be growing around near the classroom. Very close to here, I'll be able to pick apples, loquats, blackberries, pears. Some of these come from a garden over there, and some of them come from the wild on spots I know to visit. And anyway, I haven't been paying any attention to the chat. Sorry for that. Somebody asked how long... Wait, how do they live long enough for this? I'm not sure exactly what that was referring to. Sorry, I often check the chat like 10 minutes after the fact. And we got some other fun thoughts. Somebody asked how to learn mathematical patterns and stuff. I mean, my recommendations are typically doing a lot of reading, and watching videos on topics can be good as well. And doing a lot of personal investigations, asking questions, and seeing how far you can take certain answers to parts of them. And somebody says that they say that 10 to the 100th power is 10 times 10 to the 99th power. Whoa! Whoa! Did you see that? I hope my head wasn't blocking that. One clock fell and it like dragged another one off with it or something. That's why there's not as many clocks on the wall there. The clocks are still here. They just all fall when it's windy. So somebody said maybe somebody accidentally burned the tree down. And what I was going to say is that maybe, I'm not saying this is true, but there's a chance, there's certainly some chance, that the fires I've had in this classroom helped it start fruiting again. Because it started fruiting after I started filming combo class. And so something we did here made it want to fruit. And so, I mean, it could have been other weather patterns, but I like to think that maybe the fire helped. And that sounds absurd to some, but trees actually thrive on different types of heat, sometimes fire being involved, sometimes even little parts of them getting singed. In the wild, lightning is actually the friend of certain types of tree. Now, I'm not positive that the fires had any beneficial effect. Maybe it was the opposite. Maybe the fires were so bad to it that they went back in time and stopped it from fruiting for all those years when it wasn't. But who knows? In any case, we're going to have plums here before too long. And to whoever's mentioned that thing about the 10 to the 100th power, yeah, that is true. I'm not sure what you mean by they say, because that is true. Assuming that the way you're calculating your order of operations, you're doing the exponent part first and not doing the multiplication first for some reason. Somebody asked, what is the time? And the time is, that's weird. They all say different things. The time here is about to strike 5 p.m. And in fact, I'm only going to be live streaming for not that much longer. It's going to be about a half-hour stream this time because today is, in my area of the world, known as Mother's Day. And I am partially here today filming and partially here to spend some time with my mother, who's awesome. So shout out to my mom. And I'm going to be having some dinner with her and my brother and people in a bit. And so I should only live stream a little longer because now that you asked about the time, it has now gotten into the 5s for me. And, oh, Seiji's back. He trying to go back on the, he was trying to climb back on the table for some reason. You like being up here on the table? They like coming to help me. They all like take turns. Dandelion, I guess, oh, no, he was here. Sassafras hasn't come yet, but he comes to help too. He's the stray one. They all love helping around here. And they kind of miss me because I've been partially living somewhere else. Oh, here he is back on the thing. You little diagonal agile boy. You're so agile. And I've just been visiting the classroom many days, but I do also have a indoor studio of sorts that I will be doing one of our upcoming streams, or some of our upcoming streams in. And that will be pretty soon. I will jump back to some math streams and such. I've just been very focused on some personal life things as well as on my main combo class episodes. They're all turning out pretty long these days, so they're all a couple weeks apart, the ones on my combo class channel. But I'm hoping to speed that up and have the next one out around Tuesday or Wednesday. That'll just be less than 2 weeks after the last one, I think. And the next one will be one of my favorites as well. About my nickname for it in my head is alien equations. Which equations would make sense to multiple aliens in different ways? So it was a whole rabbit hole that I went down of a thought process back in the day that I was like, for some reason, when I'm going back through my notes, this is something that I don't think that many people have made a connection of. There's one or two key connections in the episode that I don't, between like basically bases in different equations and a few other concepts in math that people know better than that, or not everyone does, but a lot of people know better, and connections between them that I don't think everyone's realized, that should be taught more. That's why I'm so glad the last episode did well, because it's an underrated concept, you know? It'll be fun, like it's cool that I had a really big episode about tetration, but, you know, there are other discussions about tetration and stuff, but not many discussions about integer complexity, and we may be hosting the largest one right now. So shout out to Neil Sloan, Glenn Whitney, Mahler, and Popkin for some of the previous mathematical work that helped me build that episode from personal investigations that I had also done into the topic. So I'm going to wrap up our stream before too long. Let me know if anyone has any remaining questions. One of the next streams I actually plan on... Well, okay, I won't spoil any of the upcoming ones. It's better to sometimes save the thoughts until I'm ready to unleash them. But I have a few fun stream topics coming up. I also have a few shorts that I've filmed recently that I still need to edit. And I'm mostly focused on my next Alien Bases episode. And as usual, I have been quite bad at responding to anybody's emails or Discord posts or things like that. But I'm still trying to get better at that, and still feel free to reach out to me on those places if you don't expect the response to be soon, but to be at some point. And thank you in general to everybody watching. Remember that if you really want to extra support us on our mission, there is a Patreon, which has some cool bonus footage of the trip I took recently that you can see a lot of in advance instead of having to see scattered out throughout the grade in the episodes. And there's also just supporting cool education projects like this. And there's also a Discord and subreddit and places like that to chat with other combo lords. Most importantly, perhaps, make sure you're tuned into the combo class channel, which, despite being my main channel, has far fewer subscribers than this one, so I always remember to put in a plug for that, because it is actually where my biggest passion projects go. And it did get a few thousand subscribers over the last week due to how well the last episode did, which is really cool. So thank you all for joining me on this journey. Make sure that if you had a mother that's been nice to you and you live somewhere that celebrates Mother's Day, to be nice to her as well today. Say hi in some form or another, unless you had an evil mother. And in that case, it's your choice. And thank you all for joining me to learn about some random discussion topics. Time for me to go put this nail somewhere where it won't harm anybody. I was going to say anybody else, but it didn't harm me. I managed to step on it at just the right angle, so will not claim any victims. I'll put it in like a jar or something for a memento and a reminder to always get a tetanus booster. And somebody asked about the next episode's topic. I did discuss that a little earlier in the stream, so you may have to roll back to that if you're curious, or wait until about Tuesday or Wednesday when that episode should be dropping. And I will have something else out on this channel before then at some point, a short and or a live stream. So thank you to people who are also just leaving very nice comments, like somebody who just complimented me as an educator and communicator. It's very nice. Always glad to hear those. Motivational. And in general, now that we have hit half an hour, I think it is time to wrap up this one for the moment. To anybody who wants to get deeper into the combo realm, a lot of the links I mentioned are in the description of the video. Also, if you missed part of the stream, don't worry. If you do want to watch it later, they save as videos, except 99% of the streams I've ever done I've saved as videos. 1 or 2% of them had some glitch or something I didn't like about them. Like I showed one of my Word documents on my computer by accident or something. That was like my personal notes for something. So a few of them I haven't saved, but almost all of them I do, unless something goes wrong. Or unless if it goes really, really wrong, then I'm sure I would keep the upload up because it would just be so historic that I would need to share it. So if something goes a medium amount of wrong is the only time when I might not save one. So thank you all for joining me. I will catch you